Another show is in the books as we have left the Clash in Paris, and we are here to give you a post-show prediction summary and analysis as we bring you again another predictions post-mortem here at the Cement Brand and Papa Gino's channel of greatness. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here once again to another predictions post-mortem. You know what I am, the simple man with all the stats, and my name is Noah Foss, forever grateful for all his professional wrestling. Damn it! And of course, with me, Papa Gino. He's going to tell you how it is. We pull no punches. We throw no curveballs. We bring it 100% accurate. Hope you all enjoy the conversation. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. If you want to dictate the conversation, PayPal of Passions or Super Chat, as simple as that. You know, here we are once again, removed from another WWE PLE, but more particularly the last one for the main roster on Peacock as we know it. And overall, I don't think there was much changes amongst people's predictions, proportions, but it was still an interesting show. So how are you feeling now that it's finally done and closed?
In the predictions video that we do through No DQ, of course, I had made some predictions that I did not have the courage of my convictions on come post SmackDown Sunday morning stuff. Pretty glad I did that, and we'll get into all of that. But the show, you know, they seem to really, we might not like all the matches, but they seem to give us and fans something to enjoy when we're watching it. And one of the most beautiful things about it is it doesn't seem to drag or go too long. I mean, except for that opening match, post-match thing, that did feel a little draggy. But,
right.
you know, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into it.
And good to see Charles Shaw's great friend of the Super Reliable Studios, of course, me and my fam that do all sorts of shenanigans, conversation, live which uncovers. Speaking of which, stay tuned for me and Jeff Mother from Beecham and Walter Cruz will be covering Friday Night SmackDown from Chicago, and we'll see if we light it up. But before we get there, yeah, it is one of those things with WPLEs. Look, I don't do apples to oranges. I like both. I eat both. I like Creed and Nickelback. I like Salt and Pepper. I like the night as the day. I like winter and summer, though I'm more of a winter guy. But AEW and WWE are their own different presentations, and they do have a different expectation on not just predictions, but overall a wrestling fan circumstances. And yeah, the WPLEs, with how much advertising outside the actual match work there is, it does still seem a little bit underwhelming as a whole, but it served its purpose for what it needs to do at the end of the day if you follow WWE product as long as I have and as long as you have. So I figure without further ado, considering that literally plucked the feather for the main roster for Peacock as we know it, let's go ahead and get right into the analysis. And there you see the results as I was the only one that went perfect. So thank you, CM Punk, for once again being Sep's freaking, you know, Huckleberry to his whatever, however Dustin Rhodes said that thing in AEW. But yeah, again, there was only like literally 6 matches, 1 bonus point, courtesy of Mammon and Riff. But overall, again, you see the proportions here. I'm quite surprised that the biggest split was the Donnybrook. But that being said, Gino, you see your results. You see everything that was right, that was wrong outside the bonus fight. I figured we'll talk about the main event last, considering that was probably the most polarizing fight. Where do you want to start?
Honestly, part of me would like to start with who eats the fall, but we will save that because I might have to, you know, roll the sleeves up for you might get a little mean Gino in that regard. But why don't we just kind of go through the pay-per-view as it played out in front of us? I believe you have the matches lined up in order as well.
I
so
do.
That's super helpful.
I do.
Shout out to you, Noah. You always make these graphics look amazing. I really love what I'm seeing here. So the first match was the Shula Fala kind of getting it back match. Yeah, I mean, I think they had more mileage in it personally, but just like with John Cena, you can't bet against Roman Reigns.
Nope.
Unless you're JJ. Shout out to JJ, Simply Reliable Studios. No, Casa D18 and the Simply Reliable Studios. He was the only person to think that, or to put that Bronson Reed was going to win. Now, I could have seen it going one of 2 ways. I thought maybe you let Bronson get the win, and then when you write Roman Reigns off through like a series of, you know, dominating tsunamis and stuff, which they did, but I do think that WWE needs Roman Reigns to have this win, even though it's in this company anyway, wins and losses don't really matter, but they do to the viewers. Like if we're continuing to see somebody constantly lose, like it's really hard to get behind them. Roman Reigns, I know people have added me on Instagram talking about his number of losses he's had in premium live events. The facts are the facts. They're pesky and inconvenient, but they're facts. So it's not an opinion. Roman Reigns had a lot of L's over the last calendar year, especially on premium live events. So it was really good to see him get the win here. But I do it doesn't surprise me that somebody was going to pick Bronson, because I do see that I see where JJ might have been coming from here. Obviously, he's not here to defend himself, so I'm not trying to pick on JJ. We love JJ.
Yeah, of course.
I think close to putting Bronson as well, because I'm a big fan of the guys that are going to be there week in and week out are the guys that you want to be putting over.
Correct.
And they could have done the entire thing, had Roman lose to some of the outside interference, whatever, and Bronson can tout, I beat Roman Reigns, right? He's not the king of the Samoans. I am, right? Whatever. Look, they could have had mileage with that, but obviously they decided to go Roman Reigns. Presumably he'll be back after he's done filming. I'm a little confused though, Noah, because Cody Rhodes was out filming for a while. He's probably coming back. He's probably done filming. And then now Roman Reigns has gone to film. Are their two characters not going to have any scenes together? Like, I don't know that much about Street Fighter lore, but I would imagine people are supposed to be sharing the screen together. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, if they're going to cut things together, because we actually know that Cody was gone filming, and we actually know that Roman is going to be gone filming there. So I'm a little confused by that, but it looks like you and I both were on the same page. We had Roman Reigns to win, along with 95% of the rest of the people. So, what were your thoughts going into this?
Well, considering there was 18 of us and 17 of the 18 went with the obvious choice, I think the match itself was not necessarily what we were figuring about. I've said this all the time when it came to Roman Reigns. It's not about the result, it's about the story. The story took place afterwards, the aftermath, in which case he was speared in tsunami into oblivion, as I put on the header. The result didn't surprise me, though, but I did like the fact that they made Roman look vulnerable, but he still overcame the colossal, to his name, colossal Bronson Reed. Every time Roman got a little bit of offense in, it took one shot by Bronson Reed to put him down and almost humble the big dog. So the match didn't surprise me, and as far as the Street Fighter universe lore, look, you play arcade mode, Akuma, Gaio, Ryu, Ken, they all meet during a campaign. So Hollywood Magic, they'll probably splice scenes together at some point where maybe they do interchange with each other, or maybe they talk each other off screen, one, then one, then one. I'm sure Hollywood would come up with some sort of way of thing. It's a video game movie after all. But that being aside, it's one of those things where they change the dynamic. Instead of obliterating Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw as an aftermath for revenge, they did it the night of. But it also furthers the biggest campaign we're looking at here when it comes to Roman Reigns versus the Vision, not named Seth Rollins. Braun Breaker, because who was the first one to get the first shot after the match was over, after he claimed his shoes? Braun Breaker, who speared him into oblivion for that announce table, and Bronson Reed was just the insurance. So overall, the match, it did what it needed to do to make Bronson Reed still look like a threat. But at the end of the day, it also made Roman Reigns and Braun Breaker a match people want to see even more, because Braun Breaker broke the big dog in half. So I think at the end of the day, it did what it needed to do during and afterwards. But the result doesn't surprise me in the least. JJ, for all the hopefulness that he was thinking maybe disqualification, or Bronson actually gets a pinfall win somehow on freaking Roman Reigns by shenanigans, it is what it is. But when I show you the rankings, there's a reason why he's in the spot he's at.
Right. And so we'll look forward to maybe addressing that as well. But I wouldn't have had a problem if they had Bronson go over, to be honest. Now, I had, because of Peacock's inability for me to start the event from the beginning once it's already started, something I won't miss. Hopefully I won't miss. Maybe the ESPN's not going to fix that. But there are plenty of other streamers that when they're doing something live, you can start the event from the beginning or catch up. And so I kind of started right when the match started. I didn't get to hear the entrances, and I know Roman's was a special entrance, but I look for all those things, whether I'm doing a prediction or whether I'm not. My brain's always thinking, well, this person's coming out first, this person's coming out last, they're presenting this person like a major threat, whatever. And I like to think, oh, maybe he will win, maybe he won't win. So it's fun to kind of go throughout that. But for the most part, it seems like we all thought Roman Reigns, and I'm sure JJ thought Roman Reigns, but maybe he took his shot here on this. That would have gained him some standing and increased his overall predictions record if they did go Bronson. So maybe that was his thought process of that. Now, the next match was something that was thrown together and added in to the event, I believe, after we did our prediction. So
yeah, literally after the No DQ panel, it was the Friday, the day after. The Friday night SmackDown, no one contenders was found, and this match 2 days later.
And it's odd to me that they kind of just like, you got the Street Profits wrestling on Friday, and then they get to challenge the Wild Six on Sunday. But I actually thought, because of the stuff with Bo Dallas actually being Bo Dallas, like coming backstage talking to them, I thought that maybe they were going to give the titles to the Street Profits, because they're the most over tag team in the WWE right now. But they've got that dissension storyline coming. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, they're not winning the titles. I felt pretty confident in my picks with the 6. But at the end of the day, they're not really doing much. They showed out in the ring finally. Aaron's been talking about it on the No DQ review and all his post shows since they came back. Like, the Wyatt Six need to have a good showing, and I believe they did have a good showing in this match. Everybody picked the Wyatt Six. Looks like we all kind of knew which way the wind was blowing. So what are your thoughts, Noah?
Well, the biggest thing for me is, at the end of the day, one of the biggest tropes I have of WWE is tag team wrestling, the aspect and importance of it across their entire main roster, where it looks like on one brand, they finally established a vision. To your point, it almost looks like they're trying to break up the most popular tag team in WWE. You saw the tension with Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. And truth be told, we see Montez Ford try to break up before as a single star. Heck, he was once in the United States Elimination Chamber, came this close to winning it, and Austin Theory was champion at that time. It really was time when Montez Ford wanted to be the lead guy in this match, and he ended up not only being the lead guy, he ended up being the fall guy. And I think that's going to add some more dissension and doubt amongst the Street Profits. So I'm a little worried when it comes to the Street Profits as far as Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford becoming the next example of Mario Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, because Montez Ford definitely has charisma. He has all the athleticism in the world, but they're so strong as a duo. But on the other side, the Wyatt Six, it was a team effort. Everybody got involved. I was kind of hoping they were going to tease like a little sub match. Maybe we get Bo Dallas versus Montez Ford to add to this tension. Maybe that's a sign of things to come. But yeah, it just felt like there was not enough plot into this to think there would be new viable tag team champions, because it was 2 days freaking later that was made. Honestly, if there was going to be another match added, I was really hoping it was going to be for the WWE Women's United States Championship to bring more women onto the stage. And Julia, being a fashionista, I would love to know what her entrance would have been. But this match result, it was what it was. It didn't surprise me, but I am thinking right now, WWE's doing that typical thing of tag team wrestling doesn't need tag teams. We can try and make a single star out of this guy. The other guy can go do something else. And I hope I'm wrong here, but it certainly feels like that with that Montez Ford attitude we got, and him also being the guy that lost it for the team. But it is good to finally see the Wyatt Six more than just spooky mind games. They're effective in competitors, and they're also darn good champions. And with the numbers game in their play, they could hold on to these titles for a long time.
And that's ultimately what it came down to for this match. Was you knew that there were the Wyatt Six had backup, and that was it. Now I'm this isn't a predictions video; it's a predictions post-mortem. But if they're leaning towards Ford going heel, like, I don't know if that's a good choice. If they're going to break them out, obviously it's going to be to push Montez. He's got a lot of motivation as the husband of arguably the best women's wrestler on the roster, the EST, Bianca Belair. So he's living in the shadow, in his own home, basically. And, he's talked numerous times about wanting to live up to and like get his, and we'll see what happens with that. I think that next time we see them should be SmackDown. Friday will be very telling. So moving on, we have the good old-fashioned yes, the good old-fashioned Donnybrook match, basically no disqualification match. I would have loved to have seen a attempted pinfall or an attempted submission outside the ring. Obviously, they were attempting submission, but Michael Cole basically looked right at me and said, "No, Gino, the fall has to happen in the ring." At which point I was like, boo. But they had a lot of great spots. You know, they had a lot of great spots on the whiskey barrel and all these things that, you know, and on the predictions video, go back and look at it. I will link it in the description of this video on my channel, the No DQ predictions. I literally, to a T, called exactly what was going to happen. Rusev winning, obviously, with the shillelagh in the accolade in Sheamus's mouth. And it felt really, really good to have that one correct. But the thing is I could have seen it go either way. But at the end of the day, Rusev is new, returning. Sheamus could lose every single match from here to the end of his career, and it wouldn't make a difference because when you see him coming out, you know you're going to get a great match. And at the end of the day, whether he wins or loses, it's not as important as it would have hurt Rusev for Sheamus to win. And this is basically like a 50-50 split. You know, we don't have the numbers under there, so I can quickly check it. But if
10 out of 18, basically 55% with the favorite to win.
Yeah, and this one was, a lot of people thought it could have gone either way, and it could have. But Sheamus is far more protected in a loss than Rusev would have been. Exactly. And it looks like you got it right. I mean, you got them all right, so I don't need to find for your name anymore. Yeah,
your name is down, and you got it right as well.
So we obviously talked about the predictions and stuff, but why Rusev over Sheamus? Could have gone either way.
Well, the beauty of the predictions post-mortem is not about the prediction, because the prediction is in the books. It's about what brought us to that fought for the final resolution. And the bottom line, it was Rusev's first program since he returned back home to WWE. Sheamus has been nothing but WWE. So it makes sense for him to move Rusev forward, to put him over in what was their hat trick. Again, we saw the VTR. They literally are 1-1. Then they fought all over the friggin' Raw arena, where Adam Pearce says, okay, you guys can fight. It's official. And here we are. They used everything from pull cues, shillelaghs, to the bar stool itself. They went over the stand and through the stand, and on top of the barrels as well, and a friggin' white air raid crash. Just step off, not even a jump, just step off through two tables. I thought it was kind of silly. But either way, it was very physical. It was punishing. It was brutal. It was a fight, fella. But it made sense to really show how intense Rusev is, and how much Sheamus, who says, I made you relevant. Well, Sheamus, now you really did. And again, like you said, he broke and stretched Sheamus with his own shillelagh. You forget about the second encounter. What did he try to go for? Shillelagh to the head, bro kick. They visited that spot here. In Raw, Sheamus got the win. Here, it didn't. Nice callbacks. Sometimes WWE puts those little callbacks in there to tell you how we got here and see if lightning strikes twice. No. But it goes to what I think has to happen now. Rusev pursuing a championship, I think. As far as Sheamus goes, I don't know. He's going to keep fighting, but at the end of the day, he really got brutalized by Rusev. So do you justify Rusev and Sheamus going at it again, where the only accolade left in Sheamus' career is winning the WWE Intercontinental Championship for the Grand Slam? In my opinion, Sheamus has a Hall of Fame induction waiting for him whenever he's done fighting. But still, this is not a banger. For Rusev, though, the jury is out whether or not he could be as over as he was with Rusev Day without Rusev Day ever happening.
And you know, that's the thing. They're both on Raw. The person holding the mid-card title, because I don't think Sheamus or Rusev is going to be in the hunt for the World Heavyweight Championship. Even though they both, you know, especially Sheamus, he's always going to be a main eventer in my eyes. Dom has the Intercontinental Championship, and if they weren't going to give it to AJ on Monday, they're certainly not going to give it to Rusev, like, unless they're ready to turn Dom into like an uber babyface, or Liv is about to come back. Like, I see Dom losing the title when Liv's about to come back, because she's going to come back. Tag titles are gone, or the women's tag titles are gone, and then the Intercontinental Championship, and then Finn and JD have their titles, and it's like, when you listen to Finn, you win. You blah, 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 blah. So I see that that's probably when they're going to take the strap off of him. I would love for there to be a John Cena situation involved or an AJ Styles things, but we're not here to predict that. No. As far as this goes, it was as close in the betting odds as it could have been, and it sure played out this way with our sample size that we have
right
now. And it would be a shame for us not to mention that this was the match of the night for sure. Now we're going to move on to the match that I'm not going to insult anybody. We're going to move on to the match that a lot of people didn't want on the card. And I said it last night on the No DQ review, but I'm going to say it again. This is why Nikki Bella is known by the female casual fans, or whether they're not even fans. People know Nikki Bella, especially the ladies in my life, my mom and my girl who were forced to watch it with me on Sunday at 2:00. So they got to hear the storyline. They got to see, and they now know who Becky Lynch is, and they didn't before. Oh, it's okay, guys. So people who don't watch wrestling don't know all these minor people, especially if they're not using their real names. Obviously, they know who Roman Reigns is. They know who CM Punk is. They know John Cena. They know Seth freaking Rollins, and now they know Becky Lynch because Nikki Bella brought that clout to the table. And even Caitlyn, Aaron's wife, big Nikki Bella fan, saw the writing on the wall. Becky Lynch was gonna win this. She got her new music. She's doing her heel run. It would have been, especially with what we knew what ended up happening at the end of the night. Like you can't just. I mean, I guess you could have had her lose and then be salty about it and come back. But her and her husband both holding the championships up, like that's what this storyline needs for their first time really being a couple on screen. Steve-O picked Nikki Bella, which they could have given it to her. She's never had the chance to fight for the Intercontinental Championship because it's brand new. But I don't know. I wouldn't even be surprised if they decided this once Nikki botched that drop kick out of the corner. And I was trying to explain to my girl because she was like, that looked bad. And I was like, well, either Becky was supposed to be standing closer and move out of the way, or Nikki, whatever. But something was done wrong. Yeah, something was done wrong.
Miscommunicated, clearly.
Mm-hmm. And that was visual for even somebody who doesn't watch wrestling. And that's when I got the opportunity to explain, well, the part of being good at wrestling is making it look like you're not memorizing the moves and all this stuff. So, nothing against Nikki Bella, but that's plenty of fuel to the fire for the people who don't like her. Like, I don't understand. Like, she's one of the most famous women's wrestlers of all time. You guys just got to deal with that. And by the way, she's a Hall of Famer. Put some spec on her name. Period. End of discussion. I would say it's as simple as that, but it's not as simple as that because I am not a simple man and I complicate things. Speaking of which, Noah, what were your thoughts going into this? Did you see what I saw, or was there something different that led you down the Becky Lynch road?
Oh, I clearly saw what you saw. It just felt like to me that was just changing direction. Let's not forget, if it wasn't for Liv Morgan's injury, I think we're on the verge of either Bella's versus Judgment Day for the Tag Titles or Liv Morgan versus Nikki Bella. Heck, that could have been actually the interim grudge women's match here. It almost makes me wonder, was the tag title match a last-ditch thing just because we had to fill in more time? Again, I still justify, should have been the other women's mid-card title, different conversation. But you're absolutely justified in everything that you said. And I'll put it to you like this. My little Ella, who's 10 years old, and my sister, who kind of is a little upset with me. I'm kind of turning my little Ella into a wrestling fan because she sometimes comes over and finds me watching wrestling. She loves Bianca Belair, and she thinks Montez Ford is Kevin Hart. So I'm explaining to her who Montez Ford is, and I'm explaining to her who Bianca Belair is. So when you recognize something in a different world that you don't understand, and you're somehow able to connect to it in a way that they can understand it, then that's how you can create somebody that could become joyful on this and tell somebody else. That's how you build the wrestling fandom, which God forbid is not done enough. Shout out to my friend, by the way, Datilla, TNA, Nola. But it's one of those things that, I didn't see Nikki Bella winning the title. And folks, everybody botches, okay? The word botched might as well be in the dictionary next to a wrestling ring because it's as clear as night as day. You don't go a day without botching, either on commentary, me included, or something in the ring. It happens. And Nikki Bella, this is her second actual match outside the Royal Rumble since she's come back. So kudos to her taking this on, even if it was, just sheer circumstance. whether or not she challenged for this title again, that isn't even a year old yet. And Becky Lynch is literally the second champion? Yeah, second champion. The jury is out, but I was not surprised with the result of this at all. I think, like you said, Steven went for a Hail Mary, and it cost him. It's not like Randy Orton who beat The Fiend at WrestleMania 37 here. I did not see a moment of that happening in Clash in Paris unless Becky Lynch was legitimately injured as karma based on her husband's actions. Again, cause the fat. Talk more about that later. But for Nikki Bella, thank you. And yeah, she's a Hall of Famer. At the end of the day, she was the diva in the Divas era. Why Becky Lynch is looking to be the man in the women's wrestling era. It is what it is.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to address real quick the other potential women's matches that could have been on the show. First of all, Julia doesn't even really have like a number one contender. She does now.
Challenge. Yeah.
Right. She had whatever. But, you know, as far as getting people in the door, I think you have Becky Lynch, who is Sports Illustrated is calling her the best women's wrestler of all time. That's fact from Sports Illustrated. There's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing wrong with thinking that. If I was put in the corner to argue that, I could argue that very well, for or against. And then Nikki Bella. So that is those are the two biggest names you could have basically put on this card for a championship to get people in the door. There were little girls were crying seeing Nikki Bella come out. That is why Nikki Bella. I might as well make a shirt. That is why Nikki Bella. Period. End of discussion. The women's world title matches didn't really have opportunity to have anything happen. So it was really this or, Julia, who, she's got her own separate storyline, but she hasn't really been pushed to the forefront. Becky Lynch has been on the first, the top of the hour segments night in and night out. So, I mean, this felt like, it had to go. Now, moving on, I know on the last column here, we see the grudge bout. We're going to talk about that first because it did happen before. I knew once that was established that we had to get something happening in the main event. And we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
The grudge bout, John Cena versus Logan Paul. Now, if I do say so myself, eloquently spoke in a pro Logan Paul winning way, because I think as a wrestling fan and wrestling fans as a whole, like, we know it's staged. We know that the outcome is determined. So I think that WWE could have done a lot with a Logan Paul victory over John Cena. But when the rubber came to meet the road, I decided to put John Cena. Obviously, he's my guy, and you don't bet against John Cena either.
No.
But I think that the Brock Lesnar looming cloud, like, I was even researching where is Brock Lesnar last seen? Like, is he there? Like, I was looking that up before putting this, because I thought if Lesnar was going to be there, he was going to come out and cost Cena the match. Since all signs pointed to the fact that he was still in Canada, that was like the tipping point for me, John Cena. Now, a few people thought Logan Paul, whether or not they were listening to me. I know Matthew on the predictions video mentioned that he was going to pick Logan Paul, not because he listened to me, but he heard what I said, and he also thought that was a good possibility. JJ shot his shot. Gary, Slaughter and Cass also shot their shot. It's okay. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen Logan win, because then every time he comes out for the rest of his career, he could say he beat John Cena. And we know how much mileage AJ Styles got out of beating up John Cena. So, I could have seen that. But at the end of the day, Cena went in here and they busted out a few things. They had the zigzag spot, the end of days spot, the Styles Clash spot. All things were callbacks to his previous matches and previous opponents. And remember, and they also had the pop-up uppercut from Cesaro, who was actually name dropped, not as Cesaro, but when Cena was doing his little pipe bomb to Punk. So they're obviously playing into the theatrics and the cinema of it all. And I love that. And anybody on the planet who says Logan Paul can't go, not only can he go, but I don't think this, but Mr. 5 Moves of Doom busted out moves we've never seen him do. And they look so crisp. And you just can't do that with a green wrestler. No. Logan Paul is showing, you can do this to me. I can do this to you. We can make it look like we've been doing this on house shows for the last 7 years. It was brilliant. That was my favorite match of the night, personally. But I know that the Donnybrook match, it was better. I was making a little enchiladas for the ladies. as a favor for letting me, take up the TV for 4.5 hours or however long it ended up being. So, John Cena, great match. And, him catching, he did his normal spots, catching him, hitting with the AAs, doing the things. It was just an all around fun match. And I was really on the fence about it. I really wanted to put Logan Paul. But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? If I pick John Cena and he wins, then I get the prediction right. And if I pick Logan Paul and Logan Paul wins, then I got the prediction right. But I already predicted Logan Paul was going to win, and then I can put John Cena. So no matter who wins, I win, right? So it's a little bit of peppering around, playing the system, because I could just point them back to the no DQ video or just point them to this video. Now, what were your thoughts going into this? Obviously, you got this one right. So, what was your thought process behind potentially Big Match John winning it?
I mean, you literally said the 3 words, Big Match John. That was the first thing. And let's be honest here. At the tail end of his career, you got to give the man a massive win at some of these stages, especially now that he's pure babyface John Cena, the man that you followed with hustle, loyalty, and respect that never gave up for 23 daggum years. Also, I'm not Meltzer. I don't have star systems. I don't have this type of take on wrestling. But there is a certain euphoria that comes out of me as a wrestling fan. And I look at wrestling from a global standpoint, by the way. Everything from New Japan to something as simple as Rev Pro. When I feel something out of a match that is so good in delivery, in and out of the ring, in its story, in the competitive nature, in the result, I reach out and say, that's professional wrestling, damn it. And this is the only match that did that the entire night. One of the matches that hasn't done that for me since Evolution in the WWE ecosystem. The fact that you literally compare this to AJ Styles goes to the caliber of athlete and trust and intelligence that Logan Paul is in the WWE ecosystem. I gotta give the Impulsive one credit's due. This was Logan Paul's best match in his WWE career and one of John Cena's best overall. I mean, also, I want to put this out there. All these callbacks you talked about, you've said most of them perfectly. There was also Angels Rings, going back to OVW, Christopher Daniels, who was part of John Cena's original class. A freaking code red that I don't think John Cena's done since he first faced Kevin Owens, when Kevin Owens invaded the Monday Night Raw Raws, why John Cena was United States champion and shocked the world in the chamber. And why people think that they might have gotten a shocking off factor here, Brock Lesnar or not, I just didn't see John Cena lose it, but I loved how deep John Cena had to dig in his history to put Logan Paul down. And it adds to that point of another promo where it's like, you're taking this opportunity, quote unquote, from others that could face me. AJ Styles, name drop included. So I thought that was very poetic. This is right up there, and what I hope is not a one-up, but honestly, based on the fact where we are in John Cena's career, I'm okay with this being John Cena's one and only match against Logan Paul, because I don't think we're going to get a better atmosphere and a better presentation than that. And Logan Paul, for a guy that said less than probably 35 matches in his WWE career, he continues to excel every time he's in the ring, no matter how much of a dickhead of a person he may actually be. And again, that's not for me to judge, but again, the jury is out. Social media influencers, they are as, night and day and head and tails. But I don't bet against babyface John Cena on grand stages in unique grudge circumstances that don't involve a championship sometimes, if they are first and only. And you got to look at the fact that also 8 days left, Gino, and then you can't see him anymore. John Cena had to get at least one big win. If he doesn't get another win this year until retirement even, this was the most poetic win for me in the entire retirement year so far of John Cena's career. I've loved this match. This is one of my top 5 John Cena matches of all time, and I can't believe I just said that about Logan Paul. But yeah, to your point, 78% overall with John Cena. And I do think your thoughts about the Brock Lesnar influence, Logan Paul's youth in his WWE career, the impulsive social media backtracking that would give WWE, because WWE loves to be at the face of controversy and also pissing off the fans, getting that reaction. Sometimes in WWE, it's not about giving the fans a positive reaction. It's just about getting the biggest reaction possible. But Logan Paul beating John Cena here will almost be as big as Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker's undefeated streak, because like you said, Logan Paul would have been able to crow, I just beat the GOAT. I just beat the GOAT. I just beat the GOAT every damn time for the rest of our lives. And thankfully that wasn't the case. But yeah, this right here, though, was absolutely match of the night for me and one of the best matches I've seen this year from WWE. And the right man won.
Sorry, Noah. I did get a little emotional just there, it's kind of really sinking into me that, we're coming to the end of John Cena's run, and
8 days.
That's
8 days. 8 dates, buddy.
And to think that people disrespected him night in and night out because they thought he couldn't wrestle or because they thought he was burying talent. Listen, he doesn't choose who wins or loses. In fact, he's fine with losing. He's fine with losing.
Shinsuke Nakamura botched when he almost dropped them on his head. And what did John Cena do? That's all right, man. You're fine. John Cena is the leading role model for a WWE locker room leader. As far as anybody who's been in the ring with him was lucky to get the chance they got. Whether you're going all the way back to Rated R Superstar 2006 era. And again, John Cena admitted the big mistake of his career. Yes, the Nexus. It is what it is. All right. Oh, well, so sad. Outside that, was something wrong with Kevin Owens? Was something wrong with Bray Wyatt? Hell, was something wrong with AJ Styles? Was something wrong besides Jeff Meacham's PTSD when Brock Lesnar suplexed him, the only man he suplexed double-digit times, into oblivion when he won the friggin' World Heavyweight Championship, whatever the frick they called it during the damn Authority era. John Cena's given all, and he's also taken all. And that's the thing people's got to put in perspective if you follow WWE as long as you and I have.
Absolutely. And a few more things on that.
Go ahead.
Just, he could destroy people on the mic, but that was a test. That was a test for the other person, right? Exactly. The people that could hang with Cena on the mic got the pushes and got the clout that they deserve. Even Roman Reigns, he said, it's called a promo, kid. You got to learn to cut one if you're going to be the future. And what did Roman do? He learned to cut one. He wasn't just resting on his laurels, right?
It took Everybody that but he figured it out. That's for damn sure. Austin Theory never did, and we all saw what happened to him.
Right. And so Cena, he said it before, he said it, he'll say it again. He doesn't choose to win those matches. He's this many time champion because he's lost the title to other people, and the WWE felt comfortable putting it right back on Cena because the other person either wasn't living up or wasn't selling the merch or wasn't doing the stuff. Cena's the first one in, the last one out. That's why Cody keeps getting the title. Cena put Cody over. He also did use the Pop Rocks Code Red move against Cody, I believe on the floor, right in front of the announce table on SummerSlam. Right. And people were saying that's Cena's best match. So the last two Cena matches we've had were the best matches, were some of the best matches in his career. Top 10 of Cena's matches easily. And I've been saying it all heel run since WrestleMania. People are like, oh, he's wrestling stiff and blah, blah, he's wrestling like crap. He did it on purpose. His whole thing was to ruin wrestling and to show you that the 5 moves of doom are actually freaking awesome. So all you haters, eat your crow with no salt, no pepper, nothing. Eat it with your hands because Cena proved to you time and time again, we want to see his things. We want to see him. You can't see me. He used to pump up his Reebok pumps before he went for the FU at the time. Yeah. Right? Everybody that was hating on that because he couldn't wrestle or whatever, y'all are looking for something different. And there's another channel to tune in for that type of wrestling. But Cena's putting on clinic after clinic now. And I don't know if we're going to get something like that in the Brock Lesnar match, but I do hope he wins. He's coming into this match strong, even though I thought a story could have been told with him needing to overcome his greatest obstacle after loss. But having him lose at SummerSlam and then having him lose to Logan, well, it had to be Cena. You don't bet against big match, John.
Yeah. You can't have John Cena lose 2 premier PLEs of this audience and of this caliber when it's the time of his career and then expect, he's going to easily beat Brock Lesnar. If nothing else, this might have suspended belief that maybe this time he actually beats Brock Lesnar. Let's not forget, the last time Brock and Cena shared a ring together, Night of Champions, how fitting. The man we're going to talk about, he invaded and we never truly got a clear result. To this day, we don't know one thing. We don't know if John Cena can beat Brock Lesnar. And we got one last chance to find out.
And before we move on, one final thing.
Go for it.
One thing that I never hear talked about on anybody's reminiscing or anybody's talking about big moments in WWE history. I'm going to take you back all the way before 2005. Brock Lesnar is the undisputed heavyweight champion. He's in the ring, and the rest of the rest of the roster is on the apron, and he's basically tearing down every single one of them. He's talking to everybody, and then when he turns to Cena, he's like, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not even. He turns to Cena, and he says, and I'm certainly not afraid of somebody who's never even been champion. And that lives rent free in my head, because as Cena's former camper, he's my camp counselor and all that stuff. I was like, dang, like that's truthful. And I believed every word of it. Fast forward to now, like it doesn't feel like Cena can beat him. I mean, obviously, I think that it's a no-brainer. You give Cena the win over Lesnar here after all this, but we'll see what they decide to do. If they just brought Lesnar back for the pop and to have the Cena thing, we'll see what happens. But that segment, all the way to now, Cena, who's been the most champion now, is not afraid of Lesnar. He's not afraid of anybody, as he said, and that's the beautiful thing about it. So.
Yeah. And Logan Paul, again, the dude is meant to be in a WWE ring. Personality, actual human being, be damned. He's meant to be a WWE superstar. Even I can admit that.
Absolutely. And I know I keep saying one last thing, but that reminds me. Now, if you have never listened to Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, where he has these big names in wrestling, like the stuff that he gets these guys and gals to talk about is stuff that you're not finding anywhere else on the internet. It's wrestling information, wrestling history, and since he's still new to the business, he gets to ask questions about stuff he actually doesn't know the answers to, and he gets to learn more, and he really does respect the process and respects the industry. And again, really, people don't like him for the thing in Japan, some of his politics, which is, at the end of the day, you can disagree and stuff, but to not like somebody for their politics, whether you agree or on their side or not, it's kind of lame, right? That's like not liking somebody for their religion or whatever. Like he seems to be, for all accounts, he seems like an authentic, genuine human being. And I will defend Logan Paul, not all of his actions, because hey, you catch me on my worst day, and you're not going to like me either. So he made mistakes. He's hoping to rectify them. He even asked Triple H if he can join the Japan tour. He wants to make it right to the Japanese people. There are things that he brings to the table, and he's really not an influencer anymore per se. He's more of a podcaster and a wrestler. He's taking it seriously. And we've seen what happens when people don't take it seriously. So whether you dislike him or whether you do like him, it doesn't matter. Like, let's keep things in perspective. We're all human beings. We're all just trying to do right what we think is right, whether we're on one side or the other. So Logan Paul, I respect what you're doing, brother. Do I love that Prime is in the ring? No, but that's not his fault. Like he said, somebody else was going to get that. Now Slim Jim's got this in. Like, we're mad at Logan Paul almost for the wrong things, but whatever. He's a heel. And he's the one true heel in the business, if you ask me.
That might actually be the most accurate statement you said about Logan Paul and wrestling business in the same sense. Bottom line, John Cena's GOAT. Logan Paul, every potential to be the biggest GOAT to come with this level of psychology. But we'll find out what's next for the Mavericks soon enough, and what leads to John Cena's last time soon enough too. But WrestlePalooza is around the corner. Stay tuned, folks. City Predicting will be, of course, for WrestlePalooza AEW All Out the same week. Date and time to be determined. And I'm sure NoDQ will have their predictions panels too. Again, I always find it more fun to moderate versus participate. But if you can, please follow both platforms. We'll keep you in tune with all the traffic, live results, reactions, and all the coverage. That being said, a lot of great talk, a lot of great perspective on not only the wrestling business as fans, but even as inside workers. Because hell, I'm not contracted to anything, but people think I should be on freaking public radio, open radio at this point, or freaking hire for a wrestling company with how much wrestling icon, how much wrestling knowledge I have, and how much, I would say, unbiased nature to the entire wrestling business. But that perspective of, I'm going to kayfabe the shit out of you based on the character, because if I don't like a character, I think a character's a dickhead, I'm going to tell you straight up, it is what I am. And that's how I'm supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, wrestling is reactive to a fan base based on how the fan interprets the character, not just the competitor. There's a reason why there's layers to a wrestler in this business. To say someone can't wrestle is your own idealisms of wrestling. And John Cena is no Rhodes. So I'll give Cody that, especially someone born and raised in the business off the great dusty roads, if you will. But again, perspective. WrestleMania, SummerSlam, night and day. But that's a whole different conversation for another day. We'll talk more about John Cena appreciation at the end of the year. G and I think you and I just figured out another sub show at some point, just cause, or a simple session. But why don't we go ahead?
Career Post-Mortem coming at you at the end of the year.
And we'll get everybody involved. We'll have it all. We'll have everybody involved, I guess. I don't know.
Absolutely. And I fully expect myself to get emotional in that. But Noah, you continue to show us why everybody wants you to, do all these things. Like, you are a true wrestling historian. Like, I know DM likes to tout himself as a wrestling historian, but really, whatever is 5 stars, whatever stupid nonsense. Like, you do bring an unbiased approach. You're professional with it. You are super knowledgeable. And at a certain point, somebody's going to need to pick up this mantle about giving star ratings to matches. So maybe think about that in the future. But with that all down, and don't forget to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on demand. Let us know what you think. Did you get it right? Did you get it wrong? Where do you disagree with our thoughts? We'd love to hear all that. And Noah's comment section, which is linked in my description, or my comment section, which is going to be linked in Noah's description. But that brings us to the main event of the evening.
Oh, boy.
Fatal 4-way. We had CM Punk, main event Jey Uso, and LA Knight.
Yeah.
Challenging Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. And as I told Aaron, you got to end with LA Knight so we can be prepared to say the yeah. And Noah absolutely hit his cue on point, one of the best in the business. So the match was great. We all had Seth freaking Rollins winning. It's too early in his run right now as the leader of the division for anybody to have predicted that anything else was going to happen. So the real money here was in the bonus fall, which I encouraged Aaron to set up. I wish I didn't, because then I would have gotten 100% as well. So I'm going to talk about my thought process here, and then we'll go to yours because you were correct.
So the only one correct.
Absolutely. And that's why that's why, maybe the sleeves might come off a little. Mean Gino. As soon as I saw that, I was like, he better have a dang good explanation for why he picked that. And I look forward to hearing it at the top of the show here, or the bottom, as you will. So with LA Knight, I predicted him to take the fall on Thursday. But as I read more into it, and I read a bunch of different predictions and stuff like that, I ended up putting Jey Uso as the person I thought was going to take the fall for that. It's LA Knight is somebody that they still have mileage with. So is Jey Uso. When they had the whole thing, like I predicted that they're kind of going to get the Usos back together. It seems like we are going to get that. And it just felt like maybe Jay takes the fall because he's all banged up, especially I know that didn't happen until later, but I felt the courage of my conviction with Jay taking the fall there. Everything that was pointing to that. I can't remember exactly what I saw that made me switch from LA Knight to Jey Uso, but it was going to be one of those two guys. In no way did I see CM Punk taking the fall. I mean, this was the only logical way for him to take the fall when Becky came in, low blowed him, just like Paul Heyman, and then she made the joke on Raw about his sweaty, his ball sweat on her hand. That's great. Like, anybody who's got a problem with CM Punk and Seth Rollins being the top storyline in wrestling, it's the top storyline for a reason, and that's because it's freaking awesome television, and they genuinely don't like each other, and they're still showing that they can be professional with each other. Other companies be danged. But and I don't mean to talk crap about AEW. I actually do. I do like that AEW exists. So it's a thinly veiled shot at them. But I'm going to turn it over to you, Noah.
You're just recalling history, because anyone knows at the end of the day, I love AEW, but I also love professional wrestling. But people can see it in me. I love an AEW pay-per-view versus WPLE, probably because I was as far as advertising. But please continue.
Yeah, and I was just going to throw it over to you. Mean Gino might have to come out. I need a darn good explanation why you thought that CM Punk was going to take the fall, knowing that we're essentially leading towards Punk beating Rollins for the championship, probably in the middle of next year or early next year. Like, why make him look weak? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. So I literally, his name might have not even been an option on my prediction sheet because it was nowhere. It was not going to get clicked. Obviously, neither was Seth Rollins. Noah, convince me that you didn't just change your prediction as it happened. I know you didn't, but convince me where your thought process
Well,
is.
for those that don't know how predictions go and what I christen the Simply Predicting Leads in conjunction with NoDQ.com as Bossman Aaron Rip dictates what bonus points I put on the WWE one in conjunction with suggestions by friends of Team NoDQ. And again, Gino, you bit yourself there. I'll put it to you like this. There is a deadline during their so-called countdown that doesn't have wrestling on in the first place that I still hate. Different conversation. And it's usually about 30 minutes prior to the actual show going live because I know people are going to change their thoughts because brand split, LOL. You get those moments on SmackDown. Hell, you get freaking moments on NXT sometimes for some of these freaking fans, for NXT ones particularly, but you get what I'm freaking saying here. Just saying. Where it might sway your judgment on a match based on what a competitor is doing, what a competitor says, what a competitor is confronted with, what a competitor can be teased to be dealing with. The last thing we saw on Monday Night Raw, the past Monday Night Raw, it was super kick. Who was standing in the ring? Jay. Now, under that dirty logic, you would think Jay would be the guy. Also, the fact he's connected to the bloodline. And Jay and Roman were the ones to beat the Vision at SummerSlam. But this isn't a triple threat where I think a buffer, fall person. I think about buffer, fall person, conduit. What the hell do you do with two people not involved in the decision versus one person that's involved in the decision when you got a focal point on your main event for WrestleMania, the World Heavyweight Championship picture? There's a reason why, though, again, 33% of you went with Jey Uso, while freaking damn near 66% of you went with L.A. Knight. But to your point, yeah, L.A. Knight challenged Seth for the title already. Now, truth be told, Seth hasn't necessarily pinned LA Knight. Okay, the jury's out. We haven't done that yet. But he's not right now the main focal point. He is part of that focal point with Punk. But at the end of the day, what was Triple H and Shawn Michaels, what was once Antonio Inoki and Tatsumi Fujinami, what was once Bobby Roode and James Storm and TNA, I'm naming other companies for a fracking reason, Kevin Steen and El Generico, WWE is defined by Seth freaking Rollins versus CM Punk. CM Punk feels like a Daniel Bryan, where every chance he gets screwed, he gets pinned, he guns up short. The difference is they actually gave Punk the championship for 5 damn minutes. But he hasn't won the championship in a WrestleMania main event. How do you make that as believable, as big, as important as possible? You make him feel vulnerable. And in a fatal 4-way dance, that's about as vulnerable as you can get when you think everyone else has a damn near chance. And we saw what happened on Monday Night Raw with Jay and LA Knight. I changed from Jey Uso after my Simply Predicting, which might have was Thursday prior to the show. I changed to Punk on Friday with one thing in mind. And there was a constant thing I kept hearing from JJ and from all of you. We're bound to get another member of the Vision. Now, who the fuck could join the Vision that could fall in line with one of these men in storyline? Let me think. Omos? No, even though Seth and Omos had a one-on-one match. 2 hours later. So who the fuck else do you have left? And then I go back into the archives of WWE and what have they done with people that have had a stranglehold on the world championships. They always had a female valet. They always had a powerful businesswoman. They always had a secretary. Tasha Steele, of course, the secretary to Mustafa Ali and the Order 4. So looking at the women of WWE, gee, who fits that damn mold, especially with how much she says, I'm the best thing right now. I felt there was a chance that we could get an idea that Becky will be part of the Vision. But I did not think it was going to happen at Clash in Paris. But the bottom line, I felt another member of the Vision was going to come Sunday. And at the end of the day, the Vision is screwing one thing and one thing only more than anybody else. That's CM Punk. And let's not forget what CM Punk threatened to do to Seth. Break his damn ankle. In a fatal 4-way, there are no disqualifications. He very well could have did that. There was even a spot where Seth will set himself up for Punk to do that. So that's one of the biggest reasons at the end of the day, I respect Jay. He had the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't think he's going to be world champion again anytime soon because at the end of the day, Jay is at his strongest as a tag team specialist. But his gimmick puts him over as a top single star. I will not deny that star power. LA Knight is a seasoned vet of the business. Eli Drake, former Impact World Champion. And again, LA Knight and Seth have not had a straight up one-on-one match for the championship where Seth pinned him. So how do you wait for that to happen? You hold out for him. So at the end of the day, what do? You keep on battering and battering and battering and battering that old dog until you're ready to put old Yellow out the woodshed. And who knows what kill shot it might take to do that with Seth freaking Rollins, CM Punk. Where the day of the day, Shawn Michaels and Triple H. I had to go with Punk here because at the end of the day, there's one continuation with the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth and Punk, Seth and Punk, Seth and Punk. Even if Punk's not challenging him for the title, Punk is going to be in Seth's crosshairs as long as Seth holds that championship. And every chance, non-one-on-one, that Punk gets against Seth, I'm telling you right now, I'm going with Punk to be the fall guy because as Dustin wants to the Kyle, I will be your Huckleberry. Well, guess what? Seth is Punk's Huckleberry, bitch. At this point, I'm looking at Punk as Seth's bitch. That's why I went with him. And I was right.
Well, I can let you know that passes the smell test, and yeah, you know that tracks. And I respect your thought process on that. I respect your thought process on everything, to be honest. But that one particularly, like, you have me convinced that the writing was on the wall. And now that we've got an LA Knight and Jey Uso kind of story kind of thing going on, you know, CM Punk's going to still be.
At this point, I'm just calling it right now. LA Knight and Jey Uso are going to take on division and tag team matches if they don't bring the Usos together. Because at this point, unless they build a sub program of LA Knight versus Seth one-on-one, where again he has not yet pinned him one-on-one, what the fuck are we doing with LA Knight, Gino? Like, seriously, why have they not pushed this man to the moon yet? What are we holding out for here? What's going on?
Honestly, and you know, I know we're running short on time, but honestly, I think that they truly did think he was a flash in the pan on top of being old, but now we're realizing people a lot older than him are getting those opportunities. And he's not old by life standards.
Oh,
he's just old by, you know, wrestling ring standards, but he's still
who's not right now in WWE.
Right. Because WWE refuses to build new male superstars, right? They've got a bunch of women superstars waiting in the wings, like all, you know, even Roxanne. She's the first person to wrestle on SmackDown, being born after SmackDown was created. So it's like they have young people in the women's division. I mean, I know traditionally women on screen skew younger anyway. So that's neither here nor there.
No. Anyway,
we'll have to see what's going on. But yeah, man, I think that's a really astute observation. Congratulations. Let's take a look where we all stand. I'm tied for second with Noah. Holy cow. I ranked one down and you had no change. Kayfabe. Caitlin Bella, the person who usually just goes with, and she said this herself, or Aaron said it, usually just goes with the betting odds. It seemed like that was a pretty good idea.
I go on intuition. So thanks to that, I'm actually 1 point now caught up with Caitlin. I'm coming for you, Caitlin.
Yeah, and she's still got a 4-point lead on us, right?
3 points now on me, but yeah, 4 points on you.
Oh, so that the other screen said you had 60. Sorry about that.
Yeah, this is the change in effect. You're looking at the first SummerSlam, and then these are the changes that happen after Clash in Paris, basically.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, yes, my bad. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we botch. You know, like Noah said earlier, we're all human beings, whether we're commenting or whether we're wrestling. You know, sometimes we make mistakes. So on the right-hand side there, I am not tied for second. I am third, and 1 point behind Noah, coming in hot. I believe Caitlin has a strong chance to win this if she keeps up her thing, but you and I are going to come for that. We are coming for it.
You and I are still very much in the hunt. There are three. We know there's at least 3 shows left: WrestlePalooza, Crown Jewel, and Survivor Series. If they don't do like a Bad Blood, it's going to come down to those 3 shows and whatever bonus circumstances Mammoth Riff, you or Team No DQ try to throw into the predictions.
Absolutely, and yeah, you know, this is great. If you guys want to be in the predictions, obviously it's a little late in the year to thrust yourself into the main event scene of the predictions, but you can get started now. Just reach out to Noah and he'll get you those links. He does a great job and we really do appreciate you, Noah. Still got this is the last show for the Peacock Pocket Squares Post-Mortem predictions, all the alliteration, all the P's. And, you know, if you're watching on my channel, go check out Noah, especially if you like wrestling. He's a great guy. Obviously, you can tell. Kid knows what he's doing. Sorry, I don't mean kid. The man knows what he's doing. It's as simple as that. And I really appreciate everybody that's tuning into this. We're looking on making any tweaks, any fine tunings that we can to deliver you the best product possible and the best analysis possible. So, you know, I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. Noah's one of the best in the business, guys. I can't say that enough. I know you're going to hear me sing his praises basically every time we do a video together, but it's true. And it's important. I want him to, I want you guys to go subscribe to him because he deserves it. And he's great and he's worth it. So that's it for our prediction. We are closing the coffin on Clash in Paris and on Peacock. We're getting the coffin closed on that. Unless you're an XT guy or gal, you're going to get a little bit of stuff there. But we are closing the coffin on our
longer.
on our Clash in Paris post-mortem predictions. I am Gino. He is the Simple Man, Noah Foster. Catch us on our channels. And as always, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.
And until next time, take it easy, folks. And as always, just enjoy wrestling and keep on simply predicting. Rest in peace, Clash in Paris. We'll see you after Wrestlepalooza and All Out. Take care, folks.